the Saw franchise is iconic. It debuted in the early 2000s and helped to kickstart the whole torture porn movement along with Hostel. And you can't really find anyone who hasn't seen at least a snippet of a Saw movie. There's like 10 films that have come out so far, right? Um, I saw Spiral when it came out, and while I did enjoy that it tried to do like a 7 storyline, I think it fell short and it did end up twisting up the timeline a little, which I don't think helped the franchise. I thought it was quite a weak offering by the end of it, to be honest. And I think I'm not alone in that. I think that turned a lot of people off the Saw franchise. That's part of the reason that I was hesitant to go see this one because, first of all, there's 10 fucking movies in like 16 years. However, there was a lot of buzz and people saying like, this is the best one yet. You have to go check it out. So I went and saw it, and you know what? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Well, like 90% of it is pretty good. But I'll get to that later. Saw 10 follows Jigsaw himself, John Kramer, the original Jigsaw, as he is diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. If you haven't seen any of the Saw movies past Saw 3, this will likely not be a surprise for you, but for everyone else, surprise, Jigsaw has brain cancer. John decides to try an experimental treatment down in Mexico that was successful for a member of his cancer support group. After John spends like a bucket of money and gets the treatment, he finds out that he would have had more success going to Doc McStuffins, and these clowns have basically ripped him off and taken his money. And he takes that poorly, as you can expect.
There is one person who might be able to help.
Our program is a two-pronged treatment outside Mexico City. The results have been stunning.
She saved my life.
You're in very good hands with us.
After that, what happens then?
Your whole life happens then. John Kramer.
According to these scans, the tumor was never removed.
How much time do I have?
Months, at best.
I still have a lot of work that needs to be done.
Now, is this the best Saw? For me, no. However, I think it goes Saw, Saw 2, Saw X. Tie for second. This does really interesting things that the other Saw movies don't. It puts John Kramer squarely as the protagonist, and it also delves into his relationships with other well-known members of the Saw franchise. And that's where it's at its strongest. Seeing John realize that he's been duped and start the process to like get the people responsible is also really good. I like seeing that side. Usually you just see it at like snippets at the end, but you get to be a part of it as it's going on here. And that does help it separate itself from the other movies in the franchise. The traps are really good. The traps are fantastic. Unlike Spiral, they feel winnable. The ones in Spiral, you're like, well, he's stacked the deck, right? These are winnable, and there is a point made to reinforce that John, above all, wants the people to succeed. Like, he's giving them an option to win this, and he wants them to win this. But they do what all Saw movies do. Like, you are doing this. We were all wincing in the cinemas, which is what you want. That's Saw, right? That's what you want going into Saw. That's what Saw is. The major problem I had with this movie is that at about the 90% mark, they try to push John into the role of like hero. And I mean true hero. Like really, really good guy. Not confused anti-hero that's a bit dark but trying his best. Like they try to make him like a hallmark hero. Like if they'd had an end credit scene that said like, John went on to cure diabetes and save 10% of the Amazon rainforest, I probably would have liked that more. We don't need Jigsaw to be a good guy. We're horror fans. We watch Friday the 13th to see Jason kill people. We watch Dexter to watch Dexter kill people and root for him. This takes place between Saw 2 and Saw 3, and he's done horrendous things in the first two movies. Like, that's why this sort of hallmark ending didn't really sit well with me. It's like, yeah, that's a great thing you did, John. Nicely done. But what about all the mentally ill addicts you murdered prior to this. Like, sure, giving $10 to a homeless guy is great, but it doesn't really balance the scales. So I just wish they hadn't done that bit. I wish they'd made it a bit more. There was so many more interesting things they could have done with that. It just seemed really weird. They also have a cartoonishly evil villain in this. Like, the villain turns into basically Cruella de Vil. Like, she's evil for no fucking reason. And I thought that was pretty haggard, to be honest. But up until that point, I had a really good time. It was just that point that was like, by the end of it, we were all sort of laughing for the last 10% because we were like, why are they doing this? And let's be honest, John Kramer, he's a bit of a fucking drama queen. He's like a corrupt judge. Alright, relax, John. Alright, I'm kidding. Little bit. He kills people for very basic stuff. I don't need anything too crazy. Like, it's 2023. Let's make John petty again. Come on, we can do it. I recommend watching this if you love Saw and the character universe, but have been disappointed with the recent releases. If you love watching deadly Ruth Goldberg machines, this one does them really, really well. There's some really good ones in this. If you love playing games and doing evil run-throughs, John's the protagonist in this. Evil it up. I don't recommend watching this if you want something super serious or super scary. This was neither of those. If you haven't watched any of the Saw films up until now, don't start with this one. Watch the original, and then you can maybe watch this one. I'd probably go Saw 1, Saw 2, then this one. But don't start with this one. If you hate gore or torture porn, probably goes without saying at this point, but this is the king. This is the king of the torture porn genre. So stay away from this one if you don't like that. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you tomorrow for another review. Peace.